everyone, welcome to this edition of the Coffee Chinwag Show. And today I'm going to be speaking with the amazing Sarah Santacroce about her new book. She is fellow LinkedIn consultant like myself, based over in Switzerland, and I have admired her ever since I set up in business. She's one of the first trainers that I started to follow. And yeah, you're going to love learning about her book today and her approach, which is selling like we're human. And I think we're all over, aggressive selling techniques, spammy, messages, constant cart closing. I'm so over it as an introvert. It just makes me feel a bit ill. So I love Sarah's approach in her new book and her whole methodology. So I'm going to bring her up on the stage in a moment. I just wanted to know if you are on here today, just let me know, because I never know if this has gone live or not. I'm just going to quickly hide my ticker as well. And I just want to know if you are here, say hi, or if you're watching this on the replay, just put in #replay. And before I actually get Sarah up, I'm going to introduce myself, because I have a habit of kind of getting, all involved in this that I forget to introduce myself. So I am Jennifer Corcoran. I'm a multi-award winning and accredited LinkedIn trainer and specialist, and I help female entrepreneurs, service-based, mainly coaches, consultants, and trainers, to attract their ideal clients on LinkedIn organically, with no paid ads and no spammy, awkward outreach. You can see what I have in common with Sarah. We don't like the spammy and the awkward. We like making things holistic. So I can see, I think, a comment or two. So great. We've got, I'm just going to show Sarah the first comment. So hi, Lacey from Lexington. Thanks for joining today. And I'm going to bring the amazing Sarah up onto the screen. I'm going to have to actually read out her bio, because she is so amazing and I will forget bits. So before I bring her up, I'm just going to just read this bit off. So as a hippie turned business coach, Sarah has written 2 books. And the one we're talking about today is this amazing one, Selling Like We're Human. And she hosts the Humane Marketing Podcast. So it's all about being a human being and a humane approach. She works with heart-centered entrepreneurs to question their assumptions when it comes to marketing, and to give them permission to market their business their way, the gentle way. Okay, so it's a new approach to marketing. And over a decade of running a successful LinkedIn consulting business, inspired a yearning in Sarah to create a global movement that encourages people to bring more empathy and kindness to business and marketing. Okay, so Sarah shares a fresh perspective, and she doesn't shy away from calling things out that no longer work for many of us when it comes to the current marketing model. And I think that is amazing, because I am so over the current marketing model and the hype and the scarcity tactics. It just makes me feel ill. So her clients sometimes refer to her as the female Seth Godin. And without further ado, I'm going to bring her up onto the stage now. So hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Jennifer. It's so good to be here. Thank you so much for hosting this. You've been amazing. You're definitely the super connector. So happy to be here.
No, I'm so happy to have you, because honestly, I don't really hype up many books, and this is the first book about selling that has resonated with me as an introverted business owner, because a lot of the books I've read previously, or training I've done, or webinars I've watched, or any kind of coaching, it was usually led by an extroverted sales trainer. So their approach never really gelled with me. And this was the first book that I read that I thought, wow, this is telling me about selling in a way that is in line with my energy and doesn't feel like I have to lose my integrity in the process to actually sell my services and help people. So that I genuinely love your book. And if anybody wants to treat themselves now before Christmas, it is available on Amazon. So do check it out. So if you've got any questions while I'm here with Sarah today about her book, or about any of what we discuss, put it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. I'm just going to launch in and ask Sarah a few questions. So the first is, why do you think that selling is so uncomfortable for so many of us?
I think you just answered that question already. It's the approach that we've been taught that is wrong or that doesn't fit for so many of us. And it's actually not just introverts, just any kind of heart-centered entrepreneurs are kind of like tired of the pushy and manipulative sales approach that always kind of uses certain techniques based on manipulation. They say it's based on human psychology, and that wouldn't be a bad thing. Psychology is a good thing, right? But it's being abused. These techniques are like, oh, like if we have less on offer, that means that we can jump up the price and then say there's only that many left. And so these techniques just don't work for many of us anymore. We want to have true, real human conversations where there's transparency about pricing, where there's transparency about what's on offer. There's, like you said, integrity. So if I feel like this service is maybe not necessarily adapted to my needs, then that means I'm not going to be pushed into buying it just because the seller wants to fill his own bank account. So that's the reason why we're like, we need another way. And what's interesting actually about this book is like, I never thought in a million years I would write a sales book. I'm not in sales. I'm just like any of us entrepreneurs who run a business, who are passionate about what we're doing. And yet we have to do this thing called selling, right? Yeah. And so my first book is called Marketing Like We're Human. And it's interesting because I wrote this book thinking that that's what my clients, heart-centered entrepreneurs, change makers, that's what they wanted. It turns out what they actually wanted is another approach to sales. And in order to get to the selling part, well, you have to market.
Yeah.
But both things are broken. The marketing is hypey and slimy. The selling is hypey and slimy. And so that's why in the end, I gave in and I surrendered and I said, okay, I'll write that book on selling, but I'll write a completely different book. Like, I'm going to just give myself permission to do selling in a completely different way, different from anything I've ever learned about sales. And you mentioned it as well. And in the book, in the opening lines, I say, pay attention to the books on selling. Like 99% of them have a red title. Like, it's just in the color alone, know that this is going to be an aggressive kind of technique, right? To sell more, close more, card sales, closing, all kind of these types of, just to make more money. And that's not at all what this book is about.
Yeah, no, and I can totally resonate to that. And I guess that, like you said, when we all set up in business, I was quite naive. I thought, I'd create my website, I launch it, and people will come to me. And then you realize, no, you have to market because people don't know you exist. And for me, I'd love to say everybody goes onto my website and automatically books in my services. They don't. For the most part, I have to go on discovery calls. And that was like a shock to me. And then, of course, you have to learn how to do the kind of sales dance on the call. And having been taught the traditional kind of techniques, that sales dance always felt like so yucky and inauthentic. And then I'd find myself not wanting to do the calls, which is not good because if you're not selling, you don't have a business. So I really loved this book and your approach. And I think we are also jaded. I know I joined a program recently, which was actually fantastic. It was a business 4-month program. But the one thing that kind of put me off was when I was all willing to, ready to sign up for it, and I was going to sign up for it. But, I was asked on the call to get my credit card out there and then. And, that felt icky. I did it, but it felt icky. I would much rather have been left to kind of go away and been emailed the invoice, and I would have done it, so I think it's just about finding a new approach because that nearly turned me off.
And that it's so interesting that you say that, because that's a story I share in the book as well. It feels like the sales department, even if we're just one person, but sales and marketing and the entrepreneur, they don't talk to each other. So
Yeah.
it's like you're pushing on the sale on someone who's already convinced that they want to buy.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you're almost turning them off and saying,
Yeah.
actually, in the end, that felt really slimy. I'd
Yeah.
rather, go look somewhere else. So that's where, what I talk about is this gentle sales path, is really understanding where your client is on this path so that you don't have to push them. You just need to understand where they are so that
Yeah.
you can meet them at that level. Yeah.
Love that. I love that. I'm going to jump into the second question, and we probably touched on a lot of it, but how can we become better at selling? So you've just kind of said understanding where the people are in their journey, I think is a really good starter point.
Yeah, that's an important one. But I would say even before that, you remember the book is kind of in three parts, and the first part is all about being.
Yeah.
So really doing that inner work on yourself and really understanding that this abundance energy that you bring to the sales conversation. Because if you come to sales with this energy of lack and scarcity, and I have to get to a yes, and I have to get the credit card number, and
Yeah.
otherwise people feel that, and
Yeah.
it's not comfortable. It doesn't feel like, I can't breathe if somebody does that to me. I
Yeah.
just feel like, I don't know, something feels off. So doing that inner work to feel good enough for yourself, knowing that even if you don't get the sale, you're still valuable, worth
Yeah.
it. So that inner work, I think, is super important. And then the second part of the book is all about knowing. And so that's where the client comes in. Well, first of all, who's your client? Where are they at in that gentle sales path, so that you can meet them there and really understand what are their needs. I talk about, we'll get to that, empathy and perspective taking. So really understanding, what their problem is, and not just, another thing we're taught in sales and traditional sales is this term called gap selling. So meaning really making them understand the gap. So, oh my God, you have this huge problem. Look at you. You're, not doing well in business, but here I am with the magic wand. I have all
Yeah.
the solutions, and that doesn't feel good. That just makes me feel worse because I feel disempowered instead of feeling empowered. I think an important message of the book is empowerment of your clients. We need to treat our clients as who they are, as humans, as smart, intelligent beings who are. It's not like 40 years ago, or where sales, the only information we ever got was directly from the salesperson. If I want to buy something, and what the story you just shared earlier proves that, if I want to buy something, I'll do all my research up front. I
Yeah.
already know whether I want to buy this product or not. And so the sales conversation is just like, sitting down with the person and having a human conversation. So
Yeah.
knowing is an extremely important part of that. And then only when you have these two, then comes the doing. And that's when, you kind of reframe the sales funnel into the gentle sales path. And you think about your sales conversations and things like that. So that's, I think, what we need to, it's almost like we need to unlearn the traditional way of selling and just be reminded and get this permission to understand we can do it a different way.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think when you do it in that different way, you'll attract like minds because, you know, just the energy that you put out there will attract hopefully the right people for you. And
Yeah.
I certainly won't be asking anyone to get their credit card out on a call with me because honestly, like I said, it was just a shame that that particular trainer did that because I had already bought in. And like you said, we do the
Yeah.
research. I had done a 5-day training with this person. So I was already committed to book in for this format. And the fact that I had filled out a lengthy questionnaire in advance of the call, I'd given lots of details and lots of time. And I think I'd already put down that I was 10 out of 10 committed to doing it. So I was already a shoe-in. So there was no need to kind of do that on the call. You send me an
Yeah.
invoice after, you know, 'cause
Yeah.
it did
Yeah.
nearly turn me off. And, that would have been a big mistake. So I think
Yeah, they would
a
have
lot of
lost
people
you.
get of where people are with the journey. And I always pre-qualify all of my discovery calls now. I send out like a mini questionnaire, and I didn't do that at the start. So,
Mhm.
my calls, I wasn't that strict with my time when I first launched in business. Now they are like 15 to 20 minutes max. That's it. Because of the information I get in the form, then we can kind of hop straight in, and I know what training people have done in advance, what their goals are, what their budget is, and we can get straight to it. And if they're not the right fit from the form, then we never get to the call. So it's good in a way, we're both saving each other's time. So that's my kind of top tip for anyone listening today, is pre-qualify if you can, because otherwise you get onto these calls and you could be both going around in different circles and not the right fit for each other. Both great people, but you're both looking for totally different, clients and options. I get a lot of people coming to me and they think that I do like social media marketing, as in I do the implementation and the campaigns, and I don't.
Yeah.
Which is why I need to pre-qualify, because I don't want to waste anyone's time.
Yeah, otherwise you spend all day doing sales calls and
Yeah,
never end up making a sale. That's
yeah,
another concept I talk about. This idea that we have, or that we are taught, that we should always be closing, and in
yeah,
other words, always be on sales calls. And it's just not true. I think more sales calls don't lead to more sales.
yeah,
What I'm saying is that more sales conversations with ready clients, like you said, pre-qualified clients, those lead to more sales. But that's not the same thing. So that might mean that you have way less sales conversations, but they are ready and they have walked through your gentle sales path, and they are then ready to sit down with you in your gentle in your serene garden. So that's another concept that I talk about in the book, is this idea of having the sales conversation in your serene garden, meaning you make the rules, you only let in who gets to talk to you,
yeah,
and you are just really both sitting down as human beings in this garden where you feel enough, and you can talk about pricing even,
yeah.
like money is always a difficult topic, but in that garden, you're free, you can talk about things and find solutions that work for both of you. So I think it's a very different approach to just trying to always be closing and just make that sale at whatever cost, right?
Yeah, and I think for both of us, like, we're both introverts, so we both have like, and we're both empaths, so you've got a specific amount of energy, so you really want to be attracting the right people, because otherwise it's just overwhelming and exhausting, and we don't want to work with everyone. We only want to work with certain people that match our ideal client and probably match us energetically as well. So it's a
Yeah.
much more pleasurable experience. So yeah, like, I know that sounds harsh, that I don't want to help everyone, but I don't. It's just the way it is. And like you say, it's in our serene garden. We get to choose as well the way we want to conduct the sales and the people we want to work with. So that's our choice, which is
Mm,
great. So we have
yeah,
to make the sales process work for us as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I've got a few more questions for you. Um, in the book, you talk about empathy versus perspective taking. What's the difference, do you think?
Yeah. So as introverts or empaths or heart-centered entrepreneurs, this idea of empathy comes quite naturally to us. So I don't need to usually tell a heart-centered entrepreneur, be more empathic. That's just how we are wired. A lot of other people probably maybe need some more of that. I'm thinking, like, big business leaders or politicians or
Yeah,
whoever, but heart-centered entrepreneurs were usually already empathic. But what I think in the sales process, um, it helps to be empathic, and that's definitely part of humane selling. The other thing, though, the other kind of ingredient that we also need to take seriously is this idea of perspective taking. And the difference is basically, if you think of empathy being the heart, perspective taking is the head. So you're, talking to people's feelings, understanding their feelings, that's empathy. You understand their situation, been there, maybe done that, really understand. But then the perspective taking is you get into your client's mind and really understand what they're thinking, so that you can then actually help to guide them out of maybe that place that they're stuck, because you help them see a fresh perspective. And again, that's not the magic wand scenario where you just, kind of like blind them and say, oh, but no, don't worry about it. Here's my no, it's more like, oh, but have you thought about it this way? If you use this and this idea, maybe that is a solution. So you kind of help them get unstuck by helping them share a different perspective. And so both are equally important in the humane selling approach, because we want to not just share empathy, but we also want to make them understand that we can actually help them to
Yeah.
get to this place where they want to go.
I love the fact that, yeah, you've tied the both of them in. And I think with traditional sales, I wasn't always taught about having empathy for the person on the call. It's just really about, here's my solution. There you go.
Yeah, yeah,
So it
yeah,
was never even like get to understand them or get to connect with them. And I think it's only over time in business you realize like people do buy based on emotions as well versus logic. Like we both know the logical approach is you need to be on LinkedIn, you need to have a good LinkedIn profile, you need to get LinkedIn working for you. But only when you make that emotional connection with someone and you kind of spotlight it, will they kind of go, okay, I'm going to make the sale. So yeah, I definitely didn't go down that empathic route at the start. And I think you do need to connect with people as a human being in order for them to like fully know, like, and trust you and buy into you and connect with you. If you've got a service only, that's not enough, really. And there are so many service providers out there at the moment. You really need to just make people feel connected, that they can trust you. And yeah, you need to
yeah.
really tie in both.
Especially because when you're looking for a solution, so you're buying something, oftentimes you're in a vulnerable place.
Yeah,
You're like, I'm the learner here. I need your help.
yeah,
So you're actually, showing vulnerability. And so if the salesperson then comes in with just like this overpowering kind of figure, then that is never going to be a good working relationship. Even, we
yeah,
need to really show that we're equal. Yes, I may have a solution for what you're looking for, but I'm just a human being as well. I'm on the same path in a way. So I think that's a lot what's missing in the current approach to selling. Like you say, it's all just product and solution focused, and just let me, push this down your throat so I can make
yeah.
another sale. No holistic understanding of where this person is at and what their needs are, and all of that. Yeah.
I love that because yeah, I think you do like, especially if you're doing like any kind of service, consulting or anything like that, you need to be on the same level and be almost like partners, as opposed to one being up here, one down there. It's never going to work. And I think in
No.
the past, I
No.
have found that a lot of the kind of the sellers it has felt like they're talking down, and that's why I
Yeah.
haven't resonated or bought certain things. It's only when people get on the same level as you do you feel like, okay, you are the one that I can trust and I can work with you to achieve this. Whereas otherwise, like you say, sometimes it just feels like they want to make a quick buck and
Yeah.
you're just a number, especially like big programs that are
Yeah.
allowing like hundreds or thousands. It's like, "Oh, how is this going to
Yeah, you're
benefit?"
not even a human anymore. You're just a number to them. You're just another, $2,000 in their sales in their bank account.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
true.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, if anybody has got any questions, like we're up to 25 minutes now. Any feedback at all? Don't be shy. I don't know whether StreamYard's playing up today. Sometimes they can be a little bit glitchy, even though I love your streamer, but sometimes the comments are a bit glitchy. So if you've got any feedback for Sarah or any questions, don't be shy. I've got one last question I want to ask her, and it's basically, instead of talking about a sales funnel, you suggest your sales path with various signposts along the way. Can you tell us a bit more about, because yeah, I think we're probably all over sales funnels as well. So can you tell us about your sales path?
Yeah, so the picture of the funnel is the typical funnel, right? Where you shove everybody
Yeah,
down this funnel, and it's just like it's so unhumane. It really is. It reminds you more of a slaughterhouse than anything human. So,
yeah,
the gentle sales path is really just an alternative where, again, you empower the client to walk down, to enter your world first of all, and then to walk on this path towards your serene garden. And on this path, there are signposts, and signposts to me are basically resting spots where people can sit down and absorb some of the information that you have available. So, for example, this live is a signpost,
yeah,
signpost now, because you learn a bit more about my work. You learn also more about you and who you are. So it's a signpost for both of us.
yeah,
And so anything can become a signpost. So any kind of information, it's an ebook or it's a video or anything that brings your ideal client into your world and lets them know who you are, what you care about, your values, your worldview, your work. All of that are signposts. And then your ideal client walks on this path. And we used to have this rule of 7 in marketing, where it takes 7 contacts with the brand in order to make a buying decision. Today, I'm thinking it's more like 77, maybe
yeah.
not exactly, but I think it's much more than 7. And so there's all these signposts that gently lead people to your serene garden. And if they are ready, and when they are ready, they will want to have a conversation with you in your serene garden. And there's also exit paths, because we're not going to shove everybody down that path.
Yeah.
We're free human beings. So if it's not a good fit, well, they go to someone else's path. And I think that's a much more humane approach to thinking about how we want to think about sales and who we actually want to talk to in our serene garden. So that really is the difference between the funnel and the path.
I love that. I totally love all the imagery and the gentle and the serene. It's just so much more human and relaxed than the kind of aggressive hype kind of funnels like click here, buy now. So
Mm.
yeah, I love that. And like you say, people can exit if they want to at any stage. So I suppose an example of the path like is joining people's email list. If you're on it and you enjoy it, great. You stay and you read emails. If you don't, you unsubscribe.
Yeah,
Or I think
exactly.
another example of getting on the path with someone might be joining a challenge with them, like a 5-day challenge. You get to know, like, and trust them, learn a bit more, and then at the end you can decide whether you want to progress or not. And if not, maybe you stay on their email list. So like Sarah said, it used to be so many touch points, now it's so much more. And people do their research before they reach out to you. Like, they might have actually, I've heard different trainers say different things. I've heard one say it's 16 touch points, others say, like you, it's nearly 100. But I know some people have reached out to me and they've literally read all my blogs and probably watched about 20 videos. So they probably had probably 50 or 60 touch points before they've reached out. That's
Yeah.
what the modern consumer is like. They can get the information. So they've
And they
done a
feel like
lot.
they know you. They come to the
Yeah,
call and they're like, "Oh, I know who you are."
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think people do a lot more research before they reach out now,
Yeah.
because there's just so many voices out there that when they are going to make that informed decision, they go all in. So I think, yeah, when you do get people reach out to you, and any business owners listening today, they probably already are almost sold. So you don't need to do the hard sell. Just find
Yeah.
out what they've done, because they're practically there anyway. They've sold themselves. So
Exactly. Yeah, it's so important to understand that, and it really changes the paradigm, like, of the whole selling stuff, right? It really does. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I've got two comments from the lovely Tori Robinson from my network, and she's just put up, love your honesty, both of you. And then she's got one
Thank you.
question, and then I'll wrap up because I know we could go on all day, but we're kind of over the time. So Tori's asking, how do you deal with individuals who come to your funnel, but then ask for free stuff?
Yeah. Well, I would say, if you have this gentle sales path, there is all these signposts. Some of them are going to be free,
Yeah,
and they will be free. And the people who just come for the free, well, they're not going to be ready to have the gentle sales conversation. So you just leave them in your garden, or sorry, outside of the garden, on the path, and if they ever going to be ready, well, they will tell you.
yeah,
But my experience shows me that if you force those to have a conversation with you in your serene garden, you'll be like pushing, convincing, and they will not be ready anyways. So I say, well, just make a bigger path and have
yeah,
all these people there. And who knows, maybe they will never buy, but they will maybe talk about you to their friends. So I don't see it as a problem, to have all these people who take your free stuff. Especially, I would say it's different if you host, if you have the free sessions, like you said before, Jennifer. It's like,
yeah,
oh, I got exhausted, and that's how I felt as well, having all these free complimentary sessions. No, build in boundaries for
yeah.
those. But then if people just get your freebie, whatever, doesn't matter. They will be ready. If they are eventually ready, they will have been in your path for a long time.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I completely agree. I think there will always be people who wants it for free, and they want all the free stuff, and they're going and getting all the lead magnets off everyone and doing all the challenges. But I think if you have consistently good information, and if it resonates, maybe down the line they'll get in touch. If they don't, I've had some people do free challenges, and they've never actually worked with me, but they become like brand ambassadors, and they shout you out and they tag you in, so that's still valuable, even though they've
Yeah.
never got on to work with you. And I have one lady in my network who's on my email list, and I think she's emailed me 3 times, probably over the last 18 months, saying, I am going to get in touch with you. I promise. I love your stuff. And it's like, she will come to me when she's ready. I think
Yeah.
you can't force people. And yeah, when they're
Building a
ready,
business takes time as
yeah,
well, right? Like some people, it takes 3 years to just get sometimes your business off the ground. And so meanwhile, they keep seeing you, and they're excited to finally have the budget to work with you. It'd be a shame if you tried to force them too early, and then
yeah.
you kind of, uh, lose the trust.
Yeah. And I think for me, like, with discovery calls, I usually pre-qualify and I list, prices to services. So if somebody
Mhm.
just wants free stuff, I learn pretty quickly from the form. And if that's the case, I don't do the call with him, but I do direct them to like my YouTube channel or my blog. So I just say, okay, knock yourself out on this free
Yeah,
stuff, and
keep
then come
learning.
back to me. Yeah, come back
Yeah.
to me when you're ready. So I think if you've got any kind of free resources that you can forward them on to, like as Sarah said, on the gentle sales path, yeah, that's fine. But yeah, I think I don't get on discovery calls with people who only want free
Yeah.
advice, and I learned the hard way to pre-qualify.
Yeah, no,
So
that's exhausting, so
yeah,
definitely.
it is.
Yeah.
So Tori
Mhm.
has said, love that, build in boundaries. So I think on that note, I will wrap up because I'm sorry, Sarah, I've gone slightly over, but just to give a final shout out, like if you're listening today or live or on replay, check this book out on Amazon. I promise you will absolutely love it. It's the way marketing is going to go in the future anyway, because we're so over the old model. So invest in yourself, invest in your business. It's a business expense as well. It's a business expense. And Sarah, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you going forward?
Yeah, thank you. Well, like you, I'm mainly hanging out on LinkedIn, so you can send me a personalized invite on LinkedIn. And my website is humane.marketing. If you go to humane.marketing/book2, the number 2, that's where you find Selling Like We're Human. And if you're not convinced yet to get your copy, you can also get a free chapter there. The first chapter, you can download that and just kind of get a feel of how, and again, that's another example of a signpost. So just kind of also, get into this mode of, oh, okay, I can get this for free. But then, yeah, if I want to go a step further, go ahead and buy the book. So just walking my talk. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share, Jennifer.
Thanks so much for coming on, and thanks for everyone who's shown up. So thank you, Laura, and thank you, Lacey, and thank you, Tori. So thanks for everyone that has been here live. And yeah, I cannot say it enough. Buy this book. And if people know me, I never say this, so definitely buy it. So I'm going to let Sarah get off, let you all get off. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you on LinkedIn. Okay, take care. Thanks, Sarah. Thank
you,
you.
Jennifer. Bye, everyone.